Our minister heard from his roommate today.
Robert Reeves is on trial for killing a Durham college student. We need to let you know that the roommate's testimony was graphic and sexually explicit today. Dan Bowens is live in our newsroom to explain. Dan.
Cole and Deborah, the jury heard from a man who prosecutors believe played a crucial role in this case. He is the suspect's former roommate and the victim's former lover. It is a connection investigators believe proved deadly. Robert Reeves is accused of murdering NC Central student Latrese Curtis. Prosecutors believe the suspect and victim knew each other because of this man. Stephen Randolph was Reeves' roommate. Randolph and Curtis were sleeping together at the time. State attorneys believe Reeves killed Curtis in a jealous rage because he considered her an obstacle in his sexual advances toward Randolph. Other women who were also sleeping with Randolph around the same time testified they were harassed. This woman says her tires were slashed. Reeves' defense attorneys say there's no evidence linking their client to the tires. Reeves is accused of stabbing Curtis 40 times in January of 2008 and leaving her body by the side of I-540. Earlier, investigators testified they didn't find anything during an initial search, but 9 months after the crime, they say they found a knife in Reeves' car. The former pastor has denied any involvement in the killing.
Today's story brings us to a case that has gripped local media and shed light on a deeply troubling scenario. At the center of this story is a former student of North Carolina Central University, Latrese Curtis. Her life was tragically cut short in a case that involves complex themes of concealed identities and conflicting emotions. This case uncovers the struggles within a community often hidden from public view. It revolves around an individual, a pastor, whose actions have sparked discussions about the dangers of suppressed truths and the destructive nature of obsession. Latrese Curtis, remembered by her peers for her bright spirit, found herself unwittingly entangled in a web of complex relationships. It's a situation that tragically highlights how unchecked jealousy and hypocrisy can escalate into heartbreaking outcomes. As we explore this case, we delve into the broader implications for society and the urgent need for open, compassionate dialogues. This story is more than a headline. It's a call to reflect on the values we uphold and the hidden struggles within our communities. Welcome to a journey of crimes. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. In January 2008, a case emerged that sent shockwaves through the community. Robert Lee Adams Reeves faced charges of first-degree murder in connection with the untimely death of 21-year-old Latrese Curtis. Latrese's body was discovered on the morning of January 30, 2008, alongside Interstate 540 near Lewisburg Road. The nature of her passing indicated a violent encounter, sparking a thorough investigation. Robert Lee Adams Reeves was charged with first-degree murder in January 2008 for the stabbing death of Latrese Curtis, 21. Prosecutors have pointed to a tangled web of relationships as a possible motive, suggesting that Reeves acted out of jealousy over Latrese's connection with his roommate, Stephen Randolph. Reeves, a figure known in the community as a leader of Cedar International Fellowship in Durham, has a history that, in retrospect, raises questions among those who knew him. Apparently, Wake County Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Lindau said in opening statements Reeves has a long history of trying to mentor young men and make sexual advances toward them. Lindau laid out the state's case, detailing how Curtis had been with Randolph on the night of January 29 and had left his house around 10 p.m. Around 2 a.m., Kimberly Parker, a friend of Curtis, received a call from Curtis' cell phone, but no one spoke, Lindau said. The only thing she heard was footsteps on gravel and the sound of vehicles. She said, "Latrese. Latrese," and no one responded, Lindau said. A state trooper spotted Reeves' Chrysler Pacifica and Curtis' Nissan Sentra around 1:30 a.m. January 30th, but had to leave to respond to another call. When he returned later, Reeves' car was gone, Lindau said. Later in the morning, Curtis' husband, Darren Curtis, testified that he couldn't get in touch with his wife when he awoke the morning of January 30th. After trying her cell phone and calling family, he called 911 and later went looking for his wife. He saw her car on the interstate, he said, and tried to go talk to authorities. Latrese Curtis' body, at that point, had been covered by a blue tarp. "I showed them a picture," Darren Curtis said. "I said, "This is my wife. This is her car. Up there, please tell me that's not her under that tarp." When later questioned by Wake County Sheriff's deputies, Reeves had no explanation why his car was there, said he wasn't familiar with the area and said no one had his car on January 29 or January 30, Lindau said. Stephen was not the first person Reeves made sexual advances on, she said.
Asked me was I a freak, like, as far as kinky things.
Randolph testified Reeves offered him oral sex in exchange for rent. He says he turned it down but continued to live in the house. He testified that he got a gun because Reeves made him uncomfortable.
The same pattern about approaching young men started years earlier and ended with the death of what he viewed as an obstacle to that, Latrese Curtis. In a case that has captivated public interest, Robert Lee Adams Reeves stands trial, facing serious allegations. His past, marked by legal troubles, includes a conviction for third-degree sex charges dating back to January 1, 1988, and an earlier charge of simple assault and battery in 1982 in South Carolina. Reeves, known for his leadership role in a religious community, has faced scrutiny over contradictions between his public stance and personal actions. As the trial unfolds, key witnesses are taking the stand. Among them is Stephen Randolph, a former NC Central University basketball player. His testimony reveals a complex web of relationships. Randolph's account sheds light on his relationship with Latrese Curtis, who was separated from her husband at the time. It's alleged that Reeves' discovery of this relationship triggered a deeply emotional reaction. Randolph stated that during the night of the incident, the condom came off during intercourse and the two of them worried that she might become pregnant. He went to his other girlfriend's house to meet some friends after their encounter. Prosecutors say Reeves stalked Curtis after she left his home and brutally killed her in revenge for sleeping with Randolph. Reeves claimed he had an alibi for the night Curtis was murdered. He said he was at his church giving a sermon. But the congregation and videotape dispute that. It's been stated that investigators found the murder weapon in Reeves' car and his DNA was on the victim's steering wheel. Reeves' car was also seen near the crime scene. According to statements made in the trial, Stephen Randolph, a key witness, had reportedly experienced unwelcome advances. These allegations suggest a troubling pattern of behavior that may have escalated beyond control. Randolph said once he realized Reeves' intentions, he told the pastor he was not homosexual or bisexual. That encounter made Randolph so uneasy, he testified, that he not only left the house immediately to seek refuge with friends, he also got a gun from his cousin to keep in his bedroom. Randolph told of an unusual string of events in the ensuing months. His girlfriend received phone calls from unidentified young men, threatening to end Randolph's aspirations of becoming a professional basketball player. His tires were slashed, and weeks later his girlfriend's tires were slashed outside her home. Raleigh's WTVD reported that during the murder trial, Reeves' attorney asked a judge to keep jurors from hearing that Reeves was gay. But the judge overruled the motion, saying the defendant's sexual orientation was relevant to the prosecution's theory. Embattled New Birth Missionary Church pastor Bishop Eddie Long faces multiple lawsuits alleging he coerced young boys into performing sexual acts in exchange for cash and lavish gifts. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a story that touches upon deeply sensitive and complex issues. As we reflect on the events we've shared, it's important to remember that behind every headline and every story are real people with real lives, emotions, and challenges. We encourage respectful and thoughtful dialogue, recognizing that it's our shared humanity that binds us. By listening to and learning from each other, we can foster a community of care and support that values every person's dignity and story. In times of conflict or misunderstanding, let's strive to be a source of kindness and a force for positive change. Your engagement and thoughtful responses not only enrich our discussions but also contribute to a more empathetic and understanding world. Together, let's continue to uphold the principles of respect, empathy, and open-mindedness in all our interactions. Thank you for being a part of this important conversation. Our sincere condolences are with Latrese's family and friends. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel to be updated on more stories. Thanks for watching, see you for the next video.